corner where the troops at.
Is this the passing of the torch, right? Is this what this signifies?
It comes down to that front office and what they feel is most important.
The champ is here. We've touched down from a higher plane. Why you made it here?
We always look forward to that week because it was always intense.
You know that we ain't coming back. We about to.
The man, the myth, the legend, Dante Hall. My favorite player growing up was Dante Hall. I love you guys in the show, but Dante was my guy.
Get to dashing because you done on the warfield.
This episode of Chief Concerns is brought to you by betonline.ag and Underdog Fantasy. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball, to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Although the NFL season is done, there's still many games to be played between college basketball, NBA, NHL, and WNBA. There's always time to embrace your inner underdog. All you got to do is predict higher or lower on multiple different player statistics. If you have yet to download the Underdog app, do so now and get free cash. Click the link in the description or use promo code ChiefConcerns, one word, to claim your free pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So let's continue to keep the good vibes going into the spring season. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Chief Concerns, your Monday morning tight end show. I'm Marcus Dash. Right there in the middle is our guy, former Chiefs tight end, Jason Dunn, and my guy, Tasia, my brother Tasia Dash, joining us for his first off-season episode of the year. So let's we got the whole crew together tonight for this lovely post-combine Monday morning.
Yes, sir.
How you guys doing?
Good, my brother.
Good, man.
Yeah. What's up, Tage? Look at Tage is here in the house. I knew it had to be something special, man. If Tage comes out and he shows himself on here, it is an absolute special show. No question about it, man. So,
Second favorite part of the year, the offseason. Here you go.
Okay.
Going two, season then offseason. There we go. I mean, it's draft season. I love draft season. I make up for my year of not being too involved in college football and make up for it now by getting really involved. So,
Okay.
And I think we've rubbed off a little bit on JD. I think JD has enjoyed the draft season a little bit more over the last few years. That he's still with the mock draft, I think he's still kind of mad with it. But as far as that kind of this point of things, I think you are kind of getting a little bit more into it, right, JD? Would you say you've grown up a little bit on you a little bit?
I don't know the whole mock thing. No, not at all. I just, to me, it's crazy because everybody shoots one out. Man, I got an A, and I think everybody looks at their grades, right? Like everybody's going to have a great grade. It's like, hey, God, that's a great grade. Let the Chiefs get that, and they could completely be all the way to the left with it. So I just, for me, what it does, it actually brings back memories because when I see like the combine, the guys going out there, like it grows back in my head, every experience of that. It really does. Like just getting ready for it, like my thoughts coming up to it, the timeline to like before you get drafted. And I just know the guys are kind of rolling in my head. I'm sitting back there kind of during that time. And so it's fun to see because it's a big production now. You see the combine, man, it's huge. I mean, I'm sitting over here like, man, I wish they had that when I was back there playing. There was nobody in the stadiums. No, like seriously. On one side, it was the scouts and the coaches, and that was it. And everybody was out there with their watches and their timers and pads and, all their notes. That's what it was. And while you were walking around, it was a lot of like, you didn't get any rest. Zero rest. I don't think people realize like these guys are going through like getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30, doing the drug test. Team want to meet you early in the morning. Like it's
a job, all day job interview.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. No,
It's, like
no
a job,
doubt.
it's actually like a job fair.
Yeah. Well, it is. Other than you just really
In your
promote-
underwear.
Yeah, right. It's like, oh, what do you got going on over here? It ain't like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you try to go in somebody's room, they'll shut the door on you quick. Like, nah,
The only other place I'd see like a job fair in your underwear would be like a porn convention.
Like,
That's
yeah, yeah, I guess.
Mhm.
Well, porn,
What,
yeah.
what other job would you audition in your underwear for?
Yeah, but porn conventions, I think, are a little different, right? Those are people who are big
Not a
fans.
convention, but like a porn fair. I mean,
Are we talking about?
a porn job fair?
Okay, we got
There's
young
nothing,
people
there's
on the
nothing
show.
else. I'm just saying there's nothing else.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's anything
Underwear.
like that. Yeah, no, it's well, I say,
a bikini,
Okay.
fair or something
there you
like
go.
that. That's a little more PG.
All right.
Well, more not, or just you're talking about the muscle show, whatever,
Bodybuilding.
Yeah.
bodybuilding.
Yeah.
More so like that, right? You're walking around these little skivvies and whatnot, and everybody's looking at you. You go ahead and oil down. So, yeah. So my wife said I watched an old video of Tom Brady running khaki pants or something.
Those late 90s, early 2000s long shorts.
Oh yeah. Hey, look, before we get started in this wonderful conversation we're going to have right here, let me say what's up to everybody that's in the chat tonight. And before we got in here, I seen the ladies was in the house. All the ladies is here, first one on the scene. So what's going on? Good to see you all. Andre Chanel, G Pick, Linda Hunter. Let me see, Sweetie is here in the house. What's up, baby? Witchy Hall is here as well. I said Linda Hunter. Hearts and Roses. Hey. How you doing? Gary Holland is here. What's up, Gary? Jeremiah de Muertos. What's going on, Jeremiah? How's it going, man? Gary Holland is here. Good to see you, Gary. Mike Brennan is here as well. We're going to have a good conversation, man. Just kind of talk about some of this thing. So good to see everybody. Good to see y'all. So
yeah, it's good to have the whole crew and just fun stuff. This draft season brings a whole different kind of vibe to the whole year. Obviously, off season begins next week with the free agency begins, but every Monday we're going to do this on the show. We talked about it as a group last night. We usually do a couple mock drafts throughout the off season as we lead up to the draft. We talked about it last night that it would be more insightful for us every Monday to use our Monday morning tight end show to kind of talk about a few prospects. Each of us will pick two, and we'll kind of talk about how they fit with us. Why they're a good prospect to look at, whether it's be rounds one or a late round guy, just guys to look at. It'd be more insightful than trying to predict who we're going to draft in round 6. Because I don't know what our percentage was last year with it, but again, it's tough to kind of look at those things. But by doing this, and we've been getting questions from you guys on Twitter and on our YouTube channel, just asking about different prospects that we like, who we like in this draft, and we thought this would be the best way to kind of put 2 and 2 together. Talk about the guys we like. We can, give us some of the analysis and perspective on why we think this guy could fit in Kansas City. And also, you guys want to see what we think about the prospects in this year's draft class. So this is kind of a Chief concerns 101 on the 2025 draft class on who we think would fit in Kansas City. So that's kind of what we're going to go with on the Monday show up until the draft. And then after that, we can continue to, do our normal Monday shows, but going back, obviously post-draft stuff. But yeah, so that's how we're going to do our Monday shows till the draft. Guys, you want to share any thoughts on the prospect watch show we're going to put on our Mondays?
You know what? I do believe, we're going to be saying some names, obviously, that we believe that works with the Chiefs. Definitely what we think scheme-wise they'll fit. And so part of this is what we're thinking the Chiefs may not necessarily do. What is the conversation around it? What is our needs? What is our wants? What is, kind of our, how do you say it? Our guilty pleasures, or somebody that you actually think like, you know what, if I could get this guy, I want him. And I think our conversation is going to be kind of in those lines, if you will, Marcus and Tage, right? I mean, that's what we'll be trying to do. So we're going to try to shed some lights on some of it, right?
No, totally. I think, with this, I try choosing players I'm going to try to choose players every week that give a different take on a position and different rounds you can get them in too, right? Because You obviously can't. There's no point in every week doing a guy we're going to draft in the first round because we're only going to get one of those guys. So, well, unless someone falls, but that's a big time fall. So it's good to get different perspectives on. It's kind of a choose your own adventure book, and for anyone who doesn't know what that is, you a part of the book you chose somewhere and it took you to a different page depending on what you chose. That's kind of what the draft is really. So when you have as many, because the way the Chiefs are structured, we're very top heavy. Jones and Mahomes for the next 4 years, at least between those two, are going to take up a large percentage of the cap. And when you have that, you need to find just really quality players across the board. And you're going to be losing some guys every year. I know we still might lose Trey. You never know that, right? I hope we don't. We might lose Bolton. We might lose Reed. We're going to lose guys that you're going to want to keep every year, and you just can't. You can't keep everybody every year. We're going to be heartbroken by some of the guys we let go. Some guys we get back compensation. Some guys we won't get compensation back. So you're just going to have to every year just fill gaps for this season, gaps for next season, looking ahead. We have to be and Veach's got his work cut out for him every single season because of the way we're structured. So yeah, just a kind of I had a choose your own adventure type way of going about picking out prospects of the year. So yeah, how about it?
Well, I think a lot of that, like you were saying, what you're trying to do, and it's the Chiefs, right? And so we know Veach has been doing an amazing job. Some people just don't really, kind of accept some of the picks that we've been taking, but we've been winning. This process has been working with the guys that we've been getting in the rounds. And so he has, for me, a very good history as far as like picking the right guys to fit with what we do. And so it's all about remaining on top. And I've seen Jeremiah de Muertos is sitting there talking about pulling your head out of the sand and all these like, hey, man, listen, it's about moving forward. This process is about getting better. What can we do to make this team better? And so what we've seen is we got punched in the mouth, okay, at the Super Bowl. And so what we had to do is we got to regroup. And like Taja was saying, some guys are going to lose. Some guys are just not going to be able to retain. I get everybody wants to get the free agent in here that costs $20 million for a left tackle. Like you said, we top heavy. Sometimes we just don't have that money. And so if we don't have those chips there, we got to go to the draft. The draft is the guys that you go get that you're going to have probably for 4 years. That's usually how it works.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why it's so important and imperative to get the right guys for your culture to be here and bring the winning program. So if you're thinking about it, and this is just as players, you want to make sure that you go to a team that you actually have a chance to shine, that you can come to go out and start. I think that's what everybody, I know for a fact, that's what guys want to do. They want to show and showcase what they can do. College is one thing, but this is the biggest stage in the world that you could possibly get there. I know one of our guys, obviously Lance, the spoken, was talking about, he thought like obviously the draft and stuff with some of us, he was talking about, I guess we were talking about the Ohio State quarterback. They were talking about how bad he was doing.
Okay.
I was saying the importance of the draft is you get to see the guys firsthand. These guys get to measure everybody. And for me, it was me measuring myself up against the guys from Michigan State, Florida State, USC. I wanted to see all the guys that I was ranked up against, right? I mean, I'm coming in walking on my toes. You make sure you do about 25 push-ups before you take your shirt off, like all those things, right? And that's what it's got to mean. And so this is one of those things for guys to really immerse themselves in and knowing this process, this is going to come to fruition. What I wanted as a child, as a kid, my greatest thing to do is have a chance to play in the National Football League. And so I know that part of it, man, but philosophically, what the Chiefs want to do is they want to get winners here. They want to get guys, not just a guy.
Yeah.
They want to get guys from programs that they know can win. And we're going to be able to bring and stay at the top with what we're doing, right? So it's going to be good. It's going to be good.
Yeah. You guys been, like I said, you guys have been asking a lot about who we like in this year's draft. And we kind of wanted to wait till the combine happened because you kind of can see a little bit more about these guys, right? You can watch film and do all that stuff, but you get a bigger perspective. And when you hear about guys meeting with players, when the players talk about who's talked to them since Senior Bowl and all that stuff, all that stuff's done now. So Combine's done, Senior Bowl's done. So now we kind of getting a better picture of everything. So now we can kind of collect all that and then give us our best, opinion and analysis on if we think the guys are good for Kansas City. So that will be our episodes on Mondays till the draft. So, yeah. So, JD, you wanted to discuss a tweet that you had yesterday regarding one of the guys you were talking about, but you were going to say something.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge Kevin Morris, man. Happy birthday. He's 44 today, man. Kevin, happy birthday, brother. Okay, so you came here for the right day, right? And I don't know what everybody's, singing voices on here, but we going to real quick say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, my brother. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kevin. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So you get a little bit of everything here. Concerns, right? So this is good. Yeah.
Happy birthday, Kevin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's get into it. So
let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So, JD, this was your tweet yesterday regarding Josh Simmons. Talk to us about Josh Simmons, JD.
Ooh, man. Okay. So, as I say on here, this would be my guy if we drafted a left tackle in the first round. He's my only exception to drafting an OT in the first round. Not that my opinion matters, right? I mean, they could take it or not, take it or leave it. But he happens to fall to us, take him. I think that's what you have to do. If you still have King Suma on the roster to make sure he's healed and ready, let them compete. I like him out of all the left tackles in this draft. Okay, so for me, Josh Simmons had been hurt. Okay, he had a patella tendon tear, had gotten hurt against Oregon. He was one of the top tackles. For me, I said this, Marcus, and I was, we was talking about the draft, and I was just like, look, I don't believe that the draft is where we need to find our left tackle. I didn't. But he is the exception for me. He is the one, okay? Out of all the tackles that's out there, Will Campbell, Banks, and all those guys, he is the guy for me, okay? When I was watching him on film, the way he was able to strike, how silky his feet were, very quiet, moving back, very athletic. To me, man, he's a guy that was without a doubt game ready, like NFL ready right now for me as a tackle. Now, we don't quite know what it's going to be because of the patella tendon tear, and he's supposed to be ahead of schedule from what they've been saying. So, which is a good sign. And I said, regardless of where he goes, man, I hope the guy does well, right? We know patella tendon is one of those things. If you have an injury, that is one of the things that is at least one of the injuries that they say you may not be the same when you come back, right? Technology, we see things have changed. Him being ahead of schedule bodes well for him. That's what I look at. But this is what I was kind of talking about. Now, I will still say, okay, and somebody made a point after this, is I still believe that we need to get us a veteran left tackle. If we were able to get Josh Simmons, if we're able to get him here, I would still want to get a veteran guy. Okay, for the simple fact, if he's not ready and if he is kind of behind the eight ball, right, a setback, well, who are you looking at? When I said King Suma's there, sure, King Suma's there, but what if he still had to grow in this process? What we seen today, Marcus, you sent this to me. Donovan Smith said he's ready.
He's back.
That joker came out of the blue from somewhere. I don't know if he's been Australia or whatever he's been, but he's been getting himself right. He's been getting himself ready. I think he wants to come back to the Chiefs and come play. So if it's not the Chiefs, somewhere else, he can kind of go. I was talking about DJ Humphrey. DJ Humphrey is somebody that I love, and I think if you give him a whole offseason here, he's your guy. He's your guy. But that's why I wanted to address this, because I think he's the only guy for me getting offensive tackle. We said this, a 4-year process, he will be the guy, man. No doubt about it. He'll be the guy. So –
yeah, I think you make a good point as far as, because I think there's a lot of people, and I've seen, we talk about the mock drafts. I see a lot of people and a lot of Chiefs content creators posting their mock drafts, kind of forcing the issue of the left tackle and drafting one at the last spot. Even though I don't think, I agree with you, I think Simmons might be the only guy that I think has a potential of being a day one starter, whereas the other ones are kind of projects, I would say. And we've kind of already done that song and dance the last 2 years with King Suma, And then Wanya Morris a couple years before that, because I think people forget Wanya Morris was a top 3-round pick. So, I mean, like, there was, potential there, but it was a project. So, yeah, I think I think he's the only guy that I think is that dude, whereas the other ones are projects, and it's not going to be your, surefire right out the gate. So yeah, I do agree with that. What do you think about Donovan Smith? Because a lot of Chiefs fans think we should sign him. And I see, I don't know if Chiefs fan 211 in there is joking around here, but bring Smith back. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
I think Smith did a good job when he was here. He was a solid tackle for us, and so he was able to hold the fort down. I like Smith. Now, does that mean, he's a year older and is he still the same guy? What is he wanting? Also, too, as far as, the signing part of it is kind of the question. I'll take it Donovan Smith. If that's what you want to, if that's your druthers, you want him, take him. But regardless if it's DJ Humphries or Donovan Smith, I still believe you need to go ahead and get you a veteran tackle to be here with the younger guys. Now, I'm going to ask Tage on this, okay? Because Tage, in one of our text messages going back, we were talking about, Tage was like, you don't have O-line on here nowhere on the, we had our board up, and me and Marcus, we were sitting there saying, Tage, like, we don't have O-line as like one of our priorities in the draft now. But please explain to us what you were thinking, sir.
I've liked Simmons for quite a while. I'm totally okay with that pick. So I get why some people would say we wouldn't, even if we sign somebody. My whole thing is this, and this is why I'm okay if we drafted a guy who, like Donovan Jackson, for instance, who filled in for Simmons while Simmons was out for the year and killed it at left tackle. Basically, he was their Tooney all year, killed it at left tackle, was already a dominant guard. If I could interview Ohio State's coaching staff, I would actually ask them if Simmons came back by the end of the year, would they have stuck with Donovan Jackson left tackle? I'd love to hear their answer to that because he was killing it for him. But the reason why I would be okay with that if I saw Donovan Jackson or Booker being selected is because I'm okay getting a guy who can put him at left tackle, prove he can't do it, and his floor is borderline 10-year starter at guard. Because Trey Smith's not signed long-term. Tooney's 34, and he's got last year of his contracts next year. Who's to say he can't start a right tackle? Hey, our right tackle has an out of his contract after next year. So really, we have and Kingsley, don't get me wrong, I know we're saying all the right things about him playing guard long term, but he hasn't proven that. And if you go to all of his, I actually went to all of his draft scouting reports. Nobody mentioned guard for him. He was a tackle or a tackle. So it's interesting now that we pivoted to guard, not even right tackle. It's like we're going to make him a guard now. Okay, well, that's fine. Never saw that mentioned for him. Not to say he can't do it, but I just thought it was interesting. Like, usually you'd see that, like, if he can't do this, then he'd play tackle or a guard. I just think we have, again, so many openings on that line if we don't get Smith done long term. And even if we do, we have a left guard open after next year. We have a right tackle open after next year. We have a left tackle open now. I don't think we need to be too picky on who we bring in at the O-line. I think if a guy, you try him at left tackle, you have a left tackle of the future, amazing. He's under contract for 5 years for dirt cheap. If you don't, then you put him at guard or right tackle after one of those guys leaves. Because I'll tell you, if we sign Trey Smith to a massive deal, Taylor and Tooney will not be here the following year. One of those guys are gone. We're not going to have $150 million tied up in the O-line playing the way it is. That's just not going to happen. So one of those guys is gone. Jackson will be a guaranteed starter after this season. Either way, whether it's at left tackle, left guard, or right tackle. So that's my thing. If you draft a guy who has versatility, you have a backup plan for him. Whereas I don't know, Simmons only played, 5 games at left tackle. So we didn't really get to see him play at his preferred position long enough to even know that he can just step in at guard and dominate that. Jackson, we know, can play left tackle, definite guard. So I like those kind of guys too. There's a lot of guys in that draft like this. Actually, a lot of the left tackles coming into all this process, everyone's saying, oh, shoot, he's going to have to play guard. He's going to have to play guard because of their arm length. But yeah. Anyway, side note on all that, right before you get to your opinion on what I said, everyone posting, Chiefs don't draft these kind of guys at tackle. Look at all the tackles they drafted with their arm lengths for the past 5 years. How many of those guys have worked out? But they keep posting as if like it was a winning formula. Kingsley's arms are this. Wanya's arms are this. I mean, Fisher was the only guy that worked, and he was the number 1 pick overall. And he struggled at first, by the way. So only one of those guys worked out that we drafted. So I'm tired of seeing the arm length thing as if that's the end-all, be-all of who works out in Kansas City at tackle, because it's not. Anyway.
Well, okay. So kind of what you were saying about what's the name? The one that played guard? What's his
Donovan Jackson.
Donovan Jackson. I think when the versatility is great in college, right? We had a Pro Bowl guard that went out the tackle who did a very good job for us last year, but then all of a sudden he got ate up. Yeah. And part of that was because of his arm length, possibly getting pushed back. Jackson's going to have a hard time with speed rush guys, and I've seen that on tape, that he's just not as fluid like he needs to be. Now, in a pinch, perfect guy, right? In a pinch. But we're trying to eliminate pinching, being in the pinch. We're trying to get a guy that is a guy that is a left tackle. So for me, I think you still create the problem not getting a guy that could play left tackle. Now, where I will say this, okay? There's no disrespect to guards, not at all. All right, so all the big boys out there that are looking at me that I play ball with, love you guys. But moving from outside in, I think is a lot easier because you have help on both sides. It's easier for you. As long as you can anchor, get underneath the guy, and be stout, you have a much better job of doing that. That's why King Suma is able to move down. I think he'd be a very great left guard. I think he'd be a left guard. And so like you were saying, the point is they're saying all these tackles coming into the draft is going to probably move down to guard. Well, there's a reason. Well, it's short on. Somebody said T-Rex tackles. I love it. That's funny. Yeah, and that's the truth. So same thing with Wanya Morris. Wanya was able to go to guard. He moved out there to right tackle, which was his original position. I think he can fill that space. Can you get a guy later on in the draft that can come in and still kind of be that guard? Sure. But I think we have to, without a doubt, have a guy that we know is a left tackle. Okay. No more projects as far as doing that. And look, get a guy that is his staple, that is his job, that is his profession. I want a big boy that's out there that's what he does and he does well. And I think Simmons is a guy that, because of his athletic ability, when I watched him on film, complete, totally different than the other guys out there. And I'm telling you, like, he was a hoss. I mean, punching hard, not getting around him, was just solid. He's just a solid guy. The question is how is the injury? How's it going to respond to it? So that's what I don't want to do. I just don't want to keep, bringing in projects. And look, if you ain't got a guy, I don't want to keep moving him down. Bring a dude out here that is a left tackle. But I'm right there with you. We don't have the money to do it, but I think you have to address the draft somewhat to go get that guy. So you're not sitting over there and all your money's in, your O-line, okay, up the front, right? I'm sitting there thinking, shoot, we got Joe Tooney, $16 million, Creed, 18, Trey Smith, 23, what's the name of Juwan? Taylor's making 22. I mean, E-jokers are expensive up front. And I get it because you have the best quarterback in the game. But make sure you get a guy to anchor that on the left tackle too, that can fit in that line. Now, you don't have to break the bank this year. Are there guys that could come in the draft next year? Or like I said, go get, Josh Simmons that could come in right now, and you could have him for 4 years. Okay, a true left tackle. So.
And I think it was reported. We'll get into this more on Wednesdays. The kind of the rumors and stuff that's going around. Bob Fesco of the one of the Kansas City's main radio guys, he said that apparently, and this just tells you that no one knows what the hell they're doing. What the Chiefs are doing. What Brett Veach has up his the car that he's got ready to play for this offseason. But apparently, all options are on the table, be it free agents and draft, which just tells you they have no idea where Brett Veach is thinking right now. So, and I remember last week it was saying, some people were saying, oh, they're going to go to the draft with it. But now we're saying, okay, they're still looking at Ronnie Stanley. They're still looking at potential Cam Robinson. Alaric Jackson's off the table now because they signed him to what that was about a $16 million a year deal. Was that what it was?
Yeah, he didn't get what I thought he was going to get.
Which actually not what's that?
I think it was like 17 or 18, 17.
Which is actually pretty good because that kind of sets the bar for the free agency because he was the youngest left tackle that was available this offseason. So he's getting that. I mean, Stanley can't really hit you over the head, and Cam Robinson's not going to hit you over the head. So that actually does bode well for us if we are going to go the free agent route. If we don't want to spend a lot of money there, and obviously they can play around with the years there and whatnot. But yeah, so it's really interesting to see how wide open it is for where we're going to go with the tackle spot.
I will counter one thing to your guard argument, though, JD.
Yes, sir.
I know you didn't dog guards, but you made it sound kind of easy to move inside. If it were so easy, we wouldn't be paying a guy $23 million to play that right guard spot then. It's obviously a little harder. We got a lot of money invested at guard. It's for a reason. If we thought it was so interchangeable, we'd be going a little cheaper than Trey Smith right now, right?
Which I thought we were.
Yeah, I did too. To be honest with you, I thought we were as well. So, but I will say this. Okay, I think Trey's taking advantage of the market. They knew Trey was kind of that guy. And I agree with you. You know, like you said, we don't quite know what they're thinking because I haven't really seen those guys play as enough guard like Trey has. Okay, I haven't been to the practice. But what we did see, just for the little, clip that we did get of King Suma, he did a pretty good job. Like I said, as guard, you had some help. If you could be stout inside and catch a guy before he could charge out, then, hey, you there. But I didn't, to be honest with you, Tage, I really didn't think they was going to be able to sign Trey to that at all. So.
Yeah, I'm still pretty surprised that they did that. And
Yeah.
he still could be traded too. I mean, so that kind of whole thing is still up in the air as well.
Correct.
Let me ask one thing though over Donovan Jackson real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Never played left tackle before.
Mm-hmm.
Starting left tackle of a dominant O-line who won the national championship. Don't you think that's enough to have a guy let him try left tackle in the NFL though?
No.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, serious. I'm just going to say, because you're not going against somebody that's going against international finance, or somebody like a defensive end that may not be able to make it in the league and be that guy. You got to go see Myles Garrett. You got to go see Khalil Mack. You got to go see one of the Bosa brothers. You got to go see Smith.
Well, they all have to see that though. I mean, Simmons has to see those guys too, right?
Absolutely. But he's a better tackle that can handle those guys as opposed to like the guy that moves out that's going against, Sister Mary of the poor. Hey man, you can get away with it. In college, this is where the level comes up. That's why King Suma, when everybody was sitting there thinking, oh man, Willie Rofe and all, he's gonna be the tackle of the future. Whoa, wait a minute. Like, hold on. Like, I get King Suma was at BYU, he looked great and this and all of that. Shoot, there's guys that played at a high level that play that position was getting their butts whooped. They had to move down. They had to move them inside. Why? Because they just couldn't make it in the NFL. Like, hey, man, shoot, you ain't going to be able to make it. I love, like, I give you an example. Darian Kennard, okay? Love Darian Kennard. Got him here from Kentucky. All SEC tackles, gone against the best, right? Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, you name it. LSU, he went against the best. Alabama. But all of a sudden, he didn't make it here. He moves on. He goes up here to Philadelphia. That's almost like Becton, right? Becton, they moved Becton inside. So Becton, a big boy. How on that joker, what, about 6'8"? Gets hurt. But they was like, once we moved down inside, it seemed like a more natural position. And so he was better suited playing guard, at least for them. Not saying he won't move back out there to tackle, but I don't want to take a guard and then move him out to tackle that, you know what I'm saying? That's not really his strong suit, or that's not really his position. He might come in and do well against some guys in college. I get it, Hey, bravo. We said bravo to Joe Tooney. Bravo, Joe. But like DeMonte Green Bean said, well, shoot, all of a sudden, they just start whooping everybody up front. And Joe Tooney got exposed because he's not a left tackle. And we was kind of talking, and Andy Heck was like, hey, man, like, listen, Joe Tooney's a hell of a left guard. Can he do it? Yes. If you ask him to do it, sure. Can he be serviceable? Absolutely. Do a great job. When it comes down to it, start going against Myles Garrett and stuff, I seen him pushing him back, and I was just like, uh-oh, there it is. That's the formula. I seen it. I'm like, if guys don't attack him like Myles Garrett did, then that would be an issue and a problem. So that's the reason I say that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do with the tackle spot. I know because you guys sent me your 2 prospects that you're going to be talking about tonight. I know neither one of you guys went with offensive tackle in your 4 that you guys sent it off to me. So it's more of a defensive night for you two, actually. But both of you guys went all defensive. I went 1 defense. I went 1 offensive guy. So we got, of the 6 guys, 5 defensive players all in the trenches, and then 1 offensive guy. Of course, I went with the splash. I went with the splashy guy. You guys went with the in the trenches.
Hey,
let's do it. All right, so JD, you're gonna be lead us off with your first guy, JD. So the way I set it up is JD's got first guy, Taja's first guy, my first guy, then back to JD, and then Taja, then me, and then that's it. So JD actually wanted to go with Taja's guy at first, but we'll get to him after the fact. But this is JD's first dude.
I love it.
Yeah, yes, sir. Donovan Uruka, whatever you say it. Easy. Donovan Easy. That's what I'm calling him. Okay? He's easy out there. He makes it all look easy.
Donnie E, as they call him.
Donnie E. I like it. Donnie E. I was going to make a joke before you put him out there. I was going to say, well, for our pick, we wanted the guy to play quarterback at Colorado should do it now. But, so for me, okay, Donovan E. is a rookie. Is a guy that is very talented. His talent flies off the screen, no question about it.
Man.
He has an unbelievable bag of moves, swims, hips, everything. I mean, I'm telling you right now, he is probably the best legitimate pass rusher in this draft. Okay. Now, obviously, there's other guys that I like. Obviously, I was going to go with Pierce from Tennessee. Love him. But he's a little stiff. He's fast. I love his length, 6'5". He's like 245. Okay. 245. Green, obviously, from Marshall is another guy. Like him a lot as well. Stewart. But for me, I think what we've been missing on our defense, okay, is a pure pass rush guy. What we've been able to do defensively on our defensive line is we've been able to stop the run really well, okay? And a lot of it goes with our scheme. The guys up front being a little stout, our linebackers being able to run. We do a good job of just playing laterally on the line of scrimmage. What we don't do consistently is we don't get after the quarterback and get sacks and pressures like we should. Almost to the point where the quarterback's able to sit back there for a long time and throw the football. And we've seen this game after game after game after game. Now, it didn't take away from, Kalafkis. What I know Kalafkis, man, he's been able to do spotty in some games. Spotty. One game he shows up, he's got 3 or 4, and he's you know, he's like the most greatest pass rusher. Next minute, it's like you put him out there in Tibet and you don't see nothing from him. So for me, we need a straight pass rush guy. So when I was like kind of looking, and I'm sitting there thinking of, who do you have? Who can we get? Donovan Ezeuruke, to me, is that guy. I said we needed a game changer, Marcus and Tage. He's that guy for me. I mean, he's when I'm talking about a legit dude, he's a legit guy. He could play 3-4, 4-3, whatever you want him to play, especially how Spags mixing it up, because he does a multitude of things. Ezeuruke can play that position. Almost what we thought FAU was going to be, Ezeuruke is already there. He's already game ready. It's not no get ready, go see Tom, but you can go see Tom if you want to. Donovan Ezeuruke is already there. He's got a mixed bag of moves and whatnot that's going to be able to make a difference in a game. He kind of remind me somewhat of like a Justin Houston, like when he first got in, size-wise, strength-wise. I mean, he's got bend. He can do it all. I'm talking about do it all. The problem with this is Philly is going to pick before us. Okay, there's some teams that's going to want this guy. There's no question about it. And so Sweat he's going to be leaving from Philadelphia. They're going to be all over him. But if
Philly's after us, remember?
Oh yeah, I guess
we always assume we won the Super Bowl every year, right? We don't.
Right. So then that puts us in a better position, no doubt about it. Right. So I'll say go ahead and get this guy right here for sure. I know other teams are going to be all over him just because of what he brings to the table, man. But that's my first guy that I would love for the Chiefs to have. If he's there, I say, man, you swoop that joker up immediately. So Donovan Ezeuruke, ladies and gentlemen, love it.
I love it, man. He's someone I didn't look at for a long time because I didn't expect him to have 34-inch arms at his size. I mean, he's like 6'2", 245. I didn't think he'd have 34-inch arms. So I just didn't. I thought it took him out of the running for us to consider him. And then when he had the 34-inch arms, I was like, okay, now let me look at his tape. I mean, just incredible natural bend, like you said. He's got a killer ghost move. Hand placements on point. He studies the game too. He has a plan every time he goes out there. He's got counter move on a counter move. It's so hard to stop on that. And yeah, you'd say his size, but 34-inch arms negate that a bit, right?
Absolutely.
So, and I know, long and tall. We know that Dana's not long and tall.
No.
And, he's been consistently in our pass rush tradition for quite some time. I also think having Karlaftis, and I said this in our text thread recently, Karlaftis is a really, really good number 2. He's a high motor guy. Quarterback has it long enough, he'll get to him, right? You either need to have 2 really high motor guys on the ends, or you have one high motor guy on one side and one guy you're just like 3rd and 8, get him, Donovan. And you just watch him work back there, right?
Absolutely.
I took some notes from watching numerous scouts talk about him. He had 14 sacks and 64 pressures last year. 94 pass rush grade on true sets. That's true set pass grades are pretty, for anyone who doesn't know, it takes away all the other like RPOs or quick screens. They're real dropbacks. So he had a 91 pass grade on real dropback sets. High run defensive grade. He's smart. He's cerebral. He has a million moves. He's a cross chop. He plays skinny in space. He tackles with length. Tackles with length can't give him trouble. But again, I just think he needs to get stronger, and he uses 34-inch arms. But I love it. I mean, I would not mind that pick at all in the first round.
Look, we talking about awards here. We talking about Ted Hendricks Award. We talking about ACC Defensive Player of the Year, Bojo Lowe Award. I mean, he has the awards because he earned every bit of it. And like you were saying, the long arms in itself keeps the tackles off of you. And the thing is, he has such a quick swipe, strong hands, that you negate the tackles getting their hands and stuff on you. Like this is what we're talking about. You're talking about T-Rex tackles and having to deal with something like this. I mean, he eats their lunch. He absolutely eats their lunch. So
let me ask you, I feel like when I look at his measurables, and then if you look at our midseason trade that we had, this is kind of not the negative, but this is what the first thing that comes to mind. We did that Josh Uche trade midseason last year, and maybe it's because he came in midseason. I don't know. But the fact that we brought him in to be what you guys are talking about, being a pass rush specialist type of guy, he barely got any burn with us. And I'm looking at the measurables here. Uche, 6'1", 250, about 34 arm length as well. So like that's the kind of my I guess if we were drafted, that'd be the only thing I think about is the way we utilize Josh Uche. He kind of mirrors more of a Josh Uche kind of build. That's kind of concerning, or what? And I guess this kind of leads to the question: why didn't Uche kind of pan out with us? And this is the same kind of guy as far as a pass rush specialist.
Well, you can have a guy that we say this all the time. Okay, it's like a guy can look like Tarzan and play like Jane. Okay, you can look like Tarzan and play like Jane. You can have the same body type, but not the same talent, and so that's the difference. So you can have a guy like Josh Uche, not taking anything away from him, and maybe it was just like he's just not as refined of a pass rusher as somebody like a Donovan Ezeuruke is when he comes in. And so when you look at him on tape, like he shines out on you. Uche being up there in New England was, hey man, he's a good guy. Maybe we could be able to use him. We said the same thing about the dude Cam that came from Jones that came from Arizona. We thought he was going to be able to come in and do some things based off his build. And so all of a sudden, before you know it, hey man, he ain't gonna be able to make it. So he don't get no burn. But this guy right here, he's a first round pick for a reason. And the thing is, because he won all these different awards, I don't know Uche won all these awards. I guarantee he didn't. Shoot, they probably gave Uche maybe a 4-leaf clover and maybe a certificate to McDonald's or something. I don't know. I'm just saying, Donovan Ezeuruke earned every single one of those awards because he is that guy. He is a game changer, and we know it. Everybody knows it. So
yeah, I think Uche's biggest accomplishment outside of being Uche second team All Big Ten.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, I mean
that's it.
Other player comps for him are Harold Landry, Nick Herbig, and Ngakoue.
Ngakoue, yeah. There you go.
Pretty good names.
And another one too. I mean, like what I did with the O-line earlier. Karlaftis won't be a guaranteed to resign. We can't keep everybody, so you might not have any. A many used free agent. Dana under contract for what? One more year? What was that? 2 or 3 year deal? We don't have DN other than FAU. We don't have DN depth. So we have a lot of primary needs. Like right now, we have secondary needs right now, and then you look ahead 1 or 2 years, man. You can almost select any friggin' position and justify it at this point.
Yeah, you could. I think some guys are, kind of guys, but I think some guys really stand out because they really are the truth. Like they're the real deal. He's definitely like that. So Mike Brennan said, JD Ezeuruke or Deion Walker, Ezeuruke all day. And Delmonte Green said he might not be able to get out of the top 20. It's going to be tough.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but if he falls to Delmonte, we got to take him. We got to get him. So let me say this first, okay, before you start on your stage, is when the Chiefs did, the personal meetings, there was things that they went through, okay, that they wanted. They looked for D-line. They looked for the defensive tackle, defensive end, O-line, some O-line guys. They looked for, a couple corners, maybe a linebacker. But the main thing they were looking for, defensive end and defensive tackles. That was the main thing they were looking for. So when we know that they take those personal meetings, they're serious about a guy. So he wasn't the one that they was able to see, but I tell you what, they probably didn't need to see him.
No,
right.
Yeah. We drafted plenty of guys that we didn't formally meet with. Plenty.
Right.
That's where you go back to the hashtag check the tape. There you go. That's why they met with him, or that's why they drafted without meeting with him. They didn't have to. They didn't have to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're gonna get to Taja's first guy. This is JD's first guy, but once JD heard that Taja was doing this, so JD had to kind of pivot to Donovan here. So, Taja, talk to us about your guy, man.
Walter Nolan. So this goes in line with another first-round pick option with Ozaraku. 6'4", 296, 32.5-inch arms. Not really long. It's funny that he's a bigger guy by 2 inches, but inch and a half shorter arms than Ozaraku. Isn't that crazy? One of the top recruits coming out of 2022. I believe he was 1 or 2 actually. Flies off the ball. Can play very, very scheme versatile. I don't think you can put him at end by any means, but if you asked me 5 years ago if I think we could put Chris Jones at end, I probably would say no to that too. So I think if you have raw pass rushing skills, we can try to exploit matchups. And I think that's what I read about him so much, was that he's a matchup exploiter. Can reposition, can react, can recover, shoots gaps like crazy, has hip swivel to him. He's twitchy, he's explosive, 85 percentile on pass rush win rate. Took on double teams routinely, almost like he was like a nose tackle, but he's not built that way. He's not 330 plus pounds. He's 296, but he's just so strong he can hold it. Low miss tackle rate. He's a great tackler. Downsides that I've read, some technique needs forming. Doesn't have a go-to pass rush move. Doesn't have a lot of counters mastered yet. He kind of relies on his bull rush. He relies on catching O-lineman off guard with how quick he is off the snap and explosive, but he does it so well that he probably hasn't had to learn a counter or another pass rush move. He'll have to do that in the NFL. But then again, if you put him next to Chris Jones, you're going to have guys with their eyes on Jones sometimes. You got this guy firing off on you, 2 guys like that. He's also a guy, if Chris Jones comes off the field, he can be your primary interior rusher. Sometimes has issues shedding the O-line and run support, probably because his arms aren't as long as the rest of his size is. Again, you can move her around. He's a high ceiling player and a high floor player, day one starter. Some of the comps I read are Milton Williams, John Franklin Myers, Sheldon Ranklins, Matabike.
Matabike and Chris Jones. If we can get any kind of Matabike out of this guy next to Chris Jones, woohoo!
Yeah. I tell you what, man, I love this pick for us. I love this pick. He's another guy I don't know if he'll be able to fall to us or not. There's a lot of different projections that he might be a top 15 guy, which makes a lot of sense because when you do see him on film, he does make a whole lot of difference. Ole Miss's D-line was the top D-line in the country last year for the sacks and for the pressures. And this guy right here was an anchor to all of that. So there's a number of guys that actually Chiefs have looked at, and I like that up and down that line looks good. Ivy is one, and the other, I can't say his last name, but they checked him out. Presley is the guy who plays outside defensive end. But Walter Nolan, without a doubt, is the monster there. He like somebody said, he's a beast. Absolutely. Can you imagine Chris Jones beside a guy like this, them two beside each other, like absolutely being a terror on offensive linemen? Because they'll start looking at each other like, well, who do you want this time? Who you want? You pick, you choose, right? And so he's kind of a young version of a Chris Jones. And so we understand Chris is getting older, but Chris needs a little break. This guy right here, Walter Nolan, provides that. And so same thing with Jones. If Jones finishes out his contract here and that's what he wants to do, Nolan picks up that slack. When Jones, if he decides to retire here at the end of his contract, that's what he'll do. So I love it. I think this is a great pick if we're able to get him.
It's funny, too, guys. Started watching D tackle tape with Deon Walker. I watched Deon Walker. Nolan was the next guy I put on, and it was like, oh my gosh. Like it jumps out to you when you see it. Like you watch certain guys and they're highlight tapes, right? Because it's the best they do. Yeah. And if they're not just like overwhelming you with glee, then something's wrong, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And when I watched Nolan, it was like, this is what a highlight tape looks like. That's what he fires and he just sparks when he plays.
Deion Walker had a much better junior year than he did senior year.
He did, yeah. He was like, they were saying he's gonna be a top 10 pick based off last year's tape. Crazy.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna talk to those guys over there. I think part of it is that some of the concerns with Deion Walker is does he want it bad enough? Is he in shape? And that's part of the reason that he's kind of falling a little bit. He's a big guy. I mean, no doubt about it. He's an absolute monster inside of there. But if he ever takes it serious and say, look, you want to try to be the best, and he works to that point, he wants that, like one of the top 10. No doubt about it. His junior year, couldn't block it. Nobody could. This year, I think he kind of slowed down a little bit. Got a little, when you start feeling yourself somewhat, right? And you start getting comfortable, like, oh, well, shoot, I know what I'm going to be. And all of a sudden, everybody wanted a piece of it, right? Because what does that do? That propels your stock up too. So you're going against a guy who's supposed to be a top 10. When I'm coming in the game, I want a piece of that, right?
Yeah.
So
I feel like Deion Walker's a monster who doesn't always play like a monster. He's built like that, but he plays more finesse than I'd like him to at that size. I just want you to go out there and just dominate and I don't know. I got that sense that he's a little too finesse. When you're 6'6", 340, 350, man, I want John Henderson. That's what I want.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So,
and Nolan, where is he? Where's he slated to go? Like based on what the experts mock drafts, where they have him?
Anywhere from 20 to our pick. I mean, he can maybe sneak into the second, but if he does, someone's trading up to that first pick or second pick to get him. So, I've seen anywhere from like 15 to 32.
Yeah, Nolan. Oh yeah, he's slated probably like 10 all the way to like 20. If he gets to us, man, I'll be shocked. To be honest with you, I really would.
There's just so many good DTs in this draft. It's just all about the flavor of that team, like who they like best for their scheme, So like someone, we might like Nolan much better than a bunch of these guys, but someone might just feel that same way about Kenneth Grant, for instance, and be like, no, that's our guy. So one of these teams, I bet no one will be their guy before it gets to us, but he could get to us.
Obviously, we've talked about this draft is a D tackle, D line draft. That's where the talent is in this draft. How much of because we may see a flurry of D tackles go in the first round and the second round, probably more than we have in especially the last few years. We haven't seen D tackles really going in that much. A lot of them, at least. How much of that is the talent of this draft versus people are trying to follow the Philadelphia Eagles blueprint? Because I feel like I see it all the time when we talk about online. Everyone's talking about the D tackles. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, copying the Eagles blueprint, copying the Eagles blueprint." I'm like, I don't know that. It's always been important to have a stout defensive front. That's not a Philadelphia Eagles thing, but everyone's kind of saying that's the Eagles model, and teams are trying to follow that model. I just think that's where the talent is in this draft.
Well, they were just able to see it, against us. What the Eagles have been able to put together for the past few years. How many times have we been asked for another defensive tackle? We've been asked for that for the past 3 or 4 years.
Since we started the show.
Right, since we started the show, at least, by saying there's needs somebody else besides Chris. And what we've seen is year after year after year after year, the defensive tackle's been going other places, Marcus, and we haven't been getting them. And I'm just like, daggone, what are we doing? What are we waiting on? It's not like they don't know it. But like you said, they want to still run their stuff. There's certain things they want to be able to do. And so it kind of, when you do win, you're like, okay, well, we got away with it this year. We got away. Well, shoot, how many times you going to keep getting away with it until all of a sudden they do hit you in the mouth like we did? We got smacked, okay, against a great defensive line. And so, they just took advantage of it. So we ain't following Philly's blueprint. You always needed great defensive tackles. Always in defensive ends. I mean, that's what you do is you want to generate pass rush and you want to stop the run. So Yeah, we ain't copying nobody, man. That should be the standard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I've seen online. Everyone's saying, "Oh yeah, all the teams in this year's draft are going to try to follow the Philadelphia model." It's like, I mean,
that's as dumb as people saying people are trying to copy the Kansas City model of finding a franchise quarterback on a cheap contract for 5 years. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah, that's that. It's called the winning model is what it's called.
Right.
Just the two different ways to win. You got a franchise quarterback and a stout defensive line.
Yeah.
Build through the trenches is what they've done and what most winning programs have done.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to stick with the trenches with my pick here. So this is Derek Harmon, defensive tackle from Oregon. Also played at Michigan State before transferring. And obviously, if you guys know my background, I worked in Lansing for a little bit, so I was able to kind of pull some nuggets about Derek Harmon from the Michigan State guys that I still know were over there. So I got some nuggets on the guy. So experts are comparing him to Chris Jones. That's the all NFL draft experts are saying he plays a lot like Chris Jones. And he says it too. The two guys he models his game after is Cam Hayward and Chris Jones. Two great defensive tackles to model your game after, Chris Jones and Cam Hayward, a hybrid between the guys. If you guys look at his tape, phenomenal tape, and just listen to him talk, and a lot of scouts say that you go back to look at his best games over his college career, look at his games against Ohio State when he was in Michigan State, as well as his games against Ohio State while he was at Oregon. Those are his best games, and it's a beautiful thing because we're just talking at the beginning of the show. We're talking about how Ohio State has a stout offensive line. All these guys are probably going to go in the first 3 rounds of the draft. And every year, Ohio State has guys going in the first 3 rounds of the draft. So the fact that his best games have come against the best talent tells you a lot about this guy. 6'4.5", 313 pounds. So he's a big boy. He's a big kid. Most pressures by defensive tackle this past year with 55. Second in pressure rate by defensive tackle at 10.7%. And number 4 in pass rush win rate at 17.6%. Pretty damn good for a defensive tackle. Has played anywhere from 1 technique to the 5 technique. So I had a chance to talk to some of his Michigan State teammates, and I asked a big question because a lot of the question is being able to have to play next to Chris Jones. Can he play at the 0 technique? Because I know everyone's talking about, he can't play nose, but like he can do everything else, but he just can't play nose. I talked to these guys know ball. These guys play defense at Michigan State, and I was just asking him, how would he be next to Chris Jones? He said, unreal. Just give me a bunch of fire emojis. It would be an unreal pairing, but I don't think he's going to get to you guys at 31. But definitely, he can play 0 to 5. He can play anywhere on the line. That's the thing, though. So when you look at his kind of mock draft appeal with him, he could go anywhere from – it's kind of a weird thing with him. You could go anywhere from 12, and I've seen him go all the way to 32 where the Eagles pick, and in a variation of mock drafts I've looked at. So, again, these experts don't really know what the heck is going on. It's all prediction game. But, yeah, fast, twitchy, strong. He could do it all. You should definitely go watch his Ohio State tape because the guy I'm going to talk about later on, he gets in the backfield and literally takes the ball out of the guy's hands. This guy's a beast. But again, I bring him up while he's haven't projected to have him go in the top 12. I bring him up because the Chiefs have formally interviewed this guy. So if the Chiefs are a fan of this guy, and we've seen us trade up in first rounds to go get a guy if we feel like he's fallen a little bit and we think we have to go up to get him, we could do that. We formally interviewed him. So that's kind of the thing here with Derek Harmon. But Derek Harmon and Chris Jones, if we were to get these two together, this would be what JD and I have been waiting for the last 4 years. This is what our dreams have been made of, is having a guy like this next to Chris Jones, just be an unbelievable tandem together. So Derek Harmon is my draft crush that I hope the Chiefs can get within the first round of this year's draft. What are your guys' takes on Derek Harmon?
I mean, I think every team could use a guy like this. Like you said, when you look at his film, he's absolutely destroying, guards in front of him. Like you said, he has the versatility. He can play inside if he wanted to. 3, 5. Can he play the nose? Sure, he could. Play in the shade. That's to him, being the size that he is, I don't think it would be a difficult thing with him whatsoever. And so, when I looked at him on tape, here's another guy that I like. He's and like you said, I don't know if he'll be able to fall to us. I don't know if he will be able to. If he does, that's another guy. I'm like, man, go ahead and get him. Go ahead and pick a guy like that up. But on the slot, they had three guys. Nolan first. They had, I think, Grant, and then it was Derek Harmon. As far as like how they had him rated, as far as the grades. So he's right there with the same class of those guys. I think Nolan's tad bit faster, and Derek Harmon's a little bit bigger. So you pick what you want as far as what you're going to get with these guys. But I think Derek Harmon, man, he's going to be a hard worker, man. He's a starter in this league immediately. Come and make an impact.
4.9540 is what he ran. So I mean, for that size, to go below, to go for sub 5 at that size, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
So the numerous pods I listened to took notes on him too. So he was mostly run stuffing when he played for MSU. He dropped some weight when he moved on to Oregon. So it definitely improved his quickness. Extremely high pass rushing grade, 97 percentile, high run stuffing. They said he was pushed a little off ball soon after he lost the weight. They said as the season went on, he kind of adjusted to playing with the lighter weight and looked a lot better as it went on, holding his ground. So they just said he just lost so much weight that he kind of just had to, readjust himself to not playing the same way, right? Yeah. Great footwork, plays through contact, plays through plays. He chops, he crosses, he has fast hands, high IQ. And then the player comps I saw were Christian Barmore, Daquan Jones. Multiple people had Daquan Jones on them. So those are his comps.
Yeah. One thing I did see was the fact that kind of what you said, playing at Michigan State, he was a kind of different kind of guy to where he was at Oregon. But that just shows you he can kind of like transition and change up when need be. And obviously in the NFL, teams change, right? So like if Chris Jones does go, he doesn't have to be a different type of defensive tackle for us. Like he can make that change. And also too, when you're playing at Michigan State, the talent you have around you isn't the talent you have at Ohio State or at Oregon. So it's, just very different in general. So the fact that he was able to shine at Michigan State and also change up his role a little bit at Oregon and shine the way he did, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. To have two Chris Joneses on the line would be pretty nice, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't know if he's Chris Jones yet. He wants to be.
Yeah.
It's one thing to say, right? So it's almost like your one joke is talking about, I'm going to run a 4.2 or 4.1. And so he ran like a 4.7. Oh, no. Just
Yeah, no, I saw it was a Texas receiver, I think.
Yeah, a Texas receiver. Worthy like, man, they all want to be like me.
Bond?
Yeah, Bond.
Bond.
Yeah. So, yeah. It's good to say, you like you model off of Cam Hayward and Chris Jones. Now all you have to do is show up just like them. That's it. So,
it's confident.
Yeah. Hey.
Well, I mean, I will say those are the two current guys he should be watching. I mean, the Jones and Hayward are the two defensive tackles you should be watching, quite frankly.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so now we get to the second round of things. JD, your second guy, brother.
So, second guy. Okay, remember I told everybody that when they had the personal meetings with guys, this was a guy that they loved. They brought him in, put their eyes on him. And so when you have the personal meetings, they want to know what type of guy you are. If you really fit the bill, do you pass the eye look test? Are you a smart guy? What would you do in our defense? Maybe write some things up on the board. And so when you have this, they are very serious about it. So the Chiefs brought in Darius Alexander. And so for him, he's a big guy. Obviously he plays at Toledo. So some of the competition is not going to be, like you said, up there like in the SEC and whatnot. But he was so dominant up there that you couldn't dismiss what he was able to do. And I'm talking about he was able to walk guys back left to right. I mean, he was a man amongst boys. And so probably some of the knock on it was because, he did play down there at Toledo. So my thing is he's his grade is 613. He's right up there with everybody else, and his stock has just been rising and rising and rising because they starting to see that, man, this dude right here is a serious deal. So somebody like this, you could definitely get in the second round. He's young. You could polish him up. He's another guy, like he's 6'4", 305. We're talking about body types inside. He can do it all. He can do the double team. He could come off, rush the passer. He could do, he did a good job all season dominating Toledo and all his competition that he had. The question is, does that translate to the NFL? That's always the question. I think it can. And so when a guy is 6'4", 305, and you're able to move a man against his own will, I think it translates wherever, regardless of where you go. So he was able to accomplish that, man. The Chiefs, like I said, they met with him because I think they believe he's somebody that they can necessarily get probably in the second round. Maybe I don't know if he goes to the third or not, but like I said before, the Chiefs are looking for defensive tackle, edge type of guys. Darius Alexander fits that bill for those inside guys. And so when we're talking about if Harmon's gone, and obviously if Nolan is gone, this is the guy that they like. Now, we'll talk and discuss about who is it that you want, who do you like? Do you take the best next guy, or is it you really like a guy? And they brought him in because they really like this dude. So, Darius Alexander out of Toledo.
I liked what I read about him. He is a little older. He'll be 25 this upcoming season.
Yeah.
So that might be a reason we can get him. He might drop because of that, because teams are scared of not getting guys who aren't legal to drink yet. But a media contributor, very polished. I read just heavyweight fighter hands is what what stood out to me. Just violent, really violent. They compared him to the Jared Verse type pop with his hands. That's one thing that just stood out. He just pops off with his hands, just hits you really hard. High motor, high pass and run grade, strong against the run. Slightly, I read inconsistent film between Senior Bowl and his actual college tape. But they just say you're getting out of him. And then he's someone who can maybe even play some move him around, right? I mean,
yeah.
You got to kind of pop. You pop a left tackle, pop a right tackle. I mean, some of these guys are so talented. I'm not saying put them full-time at end, but I don't see why. If you have a nice 4-man rush, put him out there. If you get your plugger and DT, put him at end. Some of these guys are so talented, you could put them in anywhere. They're scheme versatile.
Yeah. And the thing is, like you were saying before, man, being 25 years old, he's mature. He kind of understands what it is he wants to be able to do. And so you get a guy. I remember we drafted Chad Lewis. Chad Lewis played at BYU. He had to go do the mission, came back, older guy. You could tell the difference in somebody like that, just older. And I think that's one of the things on a knock on Nolan, because they say, well, is he really, mature enough to play this? That's kind of one of the things they talk about with him. Darius Alexander's not going to have that question about him. He's probably got, well, I ain't gonna say that. But you can tell a man when he comes in there. He's a man.
Yeah.
He's a man.
Plus, he's a DT. Who cares if he's 25? If he was a receiver, I'd be like, oh, man, you got about 5 years before he just declines. Mm-hmm. Like, DTs hit their prime around. Some of those guys hit their prime around 30. It doesn't matter.
Right. So, Demetrius, 25 years of that grown man strength. Yeah, because he's a grown man, 100%. He did bench press 28 times. Probably could have threw it up some more. He probably just racked it. It was like, okay, that's enough. You have guys like that. He's like, hey, man, he probably got 5 more in you. He's like, yeah, I know, I'm good. He probably just racked it, and that's why he keeps moving up, because when you have this combination of size and some speed, I think he ran what did he run? He ran a 4.95.
4.95.
Yeah. I mean, that's moving for a big guy like that.
Yeah, man.
6'4", 305. He's moving.
That's moving for a 25-year-old.
Yeah. He's coming after you, and he's got quickness too. So when he elongates himself, when he's tackling, he's using all that length, man. He's using all of it. And like you said, heavy hands, I mean, he's violent. He's a violent player. And I think that's what they love about it, because he's going to pack a wallop all day. And that's what you don't want to get hit by a guy like this. Seriously. So, yeah, you might ask him, how your kids doing when you see him out on the field?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Yeah. Also, too, I mean, if FAU ends up being a guy at some point, hopefully this year, have a guy like that, him and Alexander are off the edge as far as a rotational package. I mean, two dudes. Hopefully Alexander shines right away if we were to get him. JD, I've seen a lot of people dogging you. You obviously are a great example of a person who came from a small school and had a 13-year career. So, I mean, right. A lot of people, when they see pass rush like guy like this, I've seen a lot of people when the news came out that we did look at him. It was like, I don't want a MAC player being our first round pick this year, which I silly take, because you can find plenty of MAC players, plenty of D2 guys, plenty of guys who have done their thing, right? FCS players. Talk about, I mean, I guess this is one thing that you could speak to as far as having a chip on your shoulder. Do a lot of the small school guys have that chip on their shoulder? Like when they go, obviously you hear the stuff, oh, small school guy, oh, let's pass on him. But you hear that kind of stuff. Is that the kind of thing that kind of like can drive a guy who does come from a MAC school, that kind of having that chip on his shoulder?
Yeah, a chip on his shoulder. I think you just want to show everybody, you want to measure yourself against everybody. So you have that obviously in the Senior Bowl and East-West Shrine game, and then of course the Combine is where you really get to measure yourself with these dudes, right? And so when you hear all these accolades and, oh my gosh, he's all SEC and ACC, and you don't put a crown on him and a cape and all these different things, you want to come in and say, okay, I'll show you. I'll tell you what. You might say I'm from Toledo. I got something to show you. They were talking about Darren Sproles, and I read this. And Darren Sproles said he came in standing at 5'8". I forgot what they said, what he ran and stuff. He said he came home and he told his pops, said they were laughing at me. They were laughing at me. And sure enough, Darren Sproles just came and started hitting jokers over the head. You start looking at all these little small schools and guys where they come from. Hey, man, if you got heart and you could play, they're going to find you. It don't matter where you play. It doesn't matter. Because when it comes in, all said and done, when a man is up against another man, who's going to win this battle? Pure and simple. Darius Alexander, I'm going to put my money on him. That's what I'm going to do. Regardless of where you went to, Michigan, Ohio State, whatever, Darius Alexander, I'll say he'll take your money, your lunch money each and every time. I'm going to put my money on him. Why? Because he does have that drive. Yeah, he might have a chip on his shoulder, but more importantly, he wants to show you that, guess what? Hey, even though I went to Toledo, we still was able to go up there and kick tail. Didn't matter. So, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
This is from somebody who had a 13-year career at a small school. So there you go.
Yeah, 12. Well, but hey, when I came in, I had all my measurables. I had a 40-inch vertical. I did 225. I think they gave me that like 29 or something. They cheated me. I had really 32. The first three, he's like, nope. No, I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm repping it out. I ended up, my pro day, I ended up running a 4.47. So when I came out, I was like number one rated tight end in the nation. And so when you look at my measurables, I was blowing it out of water. So, I think it translates regardless of where you go.
Well, according to the beloved RAS score, JD, you got a 10 out of 10 on that.
Yeah.
I know everyone's been sharing the RAS scores, the 9.9s, 9.8s. JD had a 10. So, guys, there you go. Take that RAS score. You can frame that bad boy, JD.
Yeah, baby. Hey, and that's, we say these scores and all these different things. Shoot, what is it? It's showing itself, right? We even said that because I showed you one on Gonzalez, on Tony. Yeah. And they gave him, I think, they gave him like a 47 on it, like a D grade or something. Crazy. Yeah. Yes, sir. Bad boy, man. Bad boy taste. I'm trying to tell
Not
you.
bad. Not too shabby.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
You get that score and do the Vince Carter. Over. Yeah.
Right. That's it. Yes, sir. So yeah, Darius
Okay.
Alexander.
So Darius Alexander. All right. So Tasia, it's Tasia's turn. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it's Tasia's guy.
Yeah.
Tasia, your second and final guy on this Monday night.
Second and final guy. So D tackle, different kind of D tackle. This is a guy you put next to Jones, not to mirror him, but to do all the dirty work. Clog the lane, clog the hole, hold the line. 6'2", 312, 31.5-inch arms, can get really low. I mean, like some scouts I saw called him the counter to the tush push. His leverage is unmatched. The weightlifting, wrestling standout. He squatted about 670. Doesn't have a lot of pass rush skills that he showed. No real move repertoire except for a really effective spin move. You watch him, I think whips, right? Not the thing. I don't think he can't do it. I just don't think they asked him to do it. I just think he knew what his job was. He went on and did it and dominated at it, right? He knew why he was going to get picked eventually for what he did well. Not very long, not heavy, but plays that way because he's so damn strong. You just can't move him back. One of the younger players in the draft, I think he's about 20 years old, contrary to what we just heard. So that's maybe why, if a guy's not as polished, why he might go earlier, because like, okay, we got time to work with this guy and make him ours, right? We can mold him. One of, if not one of the best nose tackles in the draft. Uses leverage, hand placement. I read a fire hydrant with explosive power was one of the ways to describe him. Also impressive at the podium. He was considered a leader on the field. Holds up double teams. Brandon Williams, Daron Payne comps.
Pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Slated to go in the third round.
Third round guy? Okay.
This would be a guy we went another direction in the first and second. Get him maybe at our 95 pick in the late third.
Yeah, he's a true nose tackle. No question about it. I mean, he's there to stop the run, push guys back. He can take double teams all day to get guys loose. And that's the thing about it. When they say polish, you need to be polished on, obviously the pass rush. But when you see a short, squatty guy like this, he's going to win in that run game all day. He's just going to push guys back. And he's going to play on the other side of the line of scrimmage. So that's what you want. You want somebody who's a disruptor. So when we talking about, the guards who's supposed to, make sure the depth of the pocket is good, he's going to challenge that every time. He's going to challenge it every time. It's almost like a Mike Pennell, young Mike Pennell, that is explosive and do some things, right? I mean, I think this guy right here, because of his grade, warrants, like you said, maybe a second or third round pick because of what he's able to do. If you want a real run stopper and a plug, this is your guy. There's another guy out there that I like too that I had on the board that play kind of similar to him. So that the Chiefs actually looked at. But Jordan Phillips, I watched him. But you're gonna get what you're gonna get with this guy, So if he's better, you said he's squatting 600 and what?
I think it was around 660, 680. I mean, he was a high school weightlifting champ and a wrestling champ.
That explains his tape and how he gets so low on it.
We were watching him. He like bunny hops from one like he's bunny hops and gets like real low down there. Just lifts you up every time. Just like power lifting your ass up there.
Yeah.
Man, interesting.
Tyleik Williams, Ohio State, who's probably the best Grant nose tackle in the draft.
Yeah.
So this is the guy that you're saying, hey, we have other needs. Get in the first round. We can get a guy similar to that, just not as dominant in the third round, late third.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was the guy I was talking about. Yep.
Tyleek, oh man, his tapes, he's fun to watch too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's a guy that we may see end up on this show next week when you guys talk about your two prospects.
We could do DTs for the entire season, for the entire draft season. By the way, that's how deep this class is. Like
seriously,
there's so many. We won't talk about everyone that we like. There are gonna be guys we don't talk about that I will be very happy if we draft them in the top like 3-4 rounds. I mean, it's just
absolutely.
There are so many guys that we could walk away with. I'll be like, check, off the board. It's a loaded class, and so many different varieties of guys give you so many different things. It's pick your poison. You can walk away with a plugger nose tackle and a Chris Jones type clone out of the first 4 rounds if you want.
I mean, as we talked about on the show a couple weeks ago, our D tackle room very empty right now. Very empty. We don't re-sign any of those guys who are free agents. So we're gonna need to fill it up regardless if we bring back guys or go in this draft, and this is the draft to do that. To replenish the room.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so now we're gonna go to the final guy, the only offensive guy in our first rendition of our Prospect Watch show. Is Quinshon Judkins from Ohio State. I'm referring to him as Kid Juddy. I don't know. During this year watching Ohio State games, I started calling him Kid Juddy, and that's it. But he's an Ohio State running back. Played at Ole Miss before transferring to Ohio State for the last 2 years. So he only played 3 years in college. 3 back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons. 1,500 yards as the feature back at Ole Miss, and in the last 2 years he was he split kind of running back by committee with Travion Henderson. But yeah, in the 3 years, total combined 50 touchdowns between receiving and rushing within 3 years in college, which is pretty good. Doing some work. Man, I mean, insane. You guys haven't watched his highlights. You guys need to look up this guy's stuff. He's unreal. And we were talking about the RAS scores, the athleticism scores. This guy, not quite on JD's level, but pretty close. 9.95 for this guy. 9.95 for RAS scores. I know a lot of people love the RAS scores. So we've measured it 5'11", 221 pounds. So this guy is a load. 221, man. I mean, he hits like a brick. I mean, this guy bounces off carriers. Kind of to me, I've seen some draft experts call him a Kareem Hunt, kind of a Kareem Hunt kind of running back. He can do it all. I've seen some call him an Alvin Kamara kind of hybrid with Kareem Hunt, which is interesting because he can catch the ball to the backfield, and he's also a good pass protector as a running back too. So he ran a 4.48 40-yard dash, 11-foot broad jump, 38.5-foot vertical. Like I said, 3 down back, pass catcher, pass protector, Kareem Hunt, Alvin Kamara, Joe Mixon. So I did talk to one of my guys at Michigan State. I asked pretty much Henderson, Judkins, who's better between the Ohio State running backs? Because there's a lot of Chief fans really like Henderson, and Henderson's good too. There's just very different type of running backs. There's 2 totally different type of guys. Henderson's more of a burner. He gets to go 88 out the gate kind of guy, whereas Judkins is going to do it all for you. So I just asked who's better between the two. He said different type of guys are both really good. They're both solid, but Judkins is the better back between the two of them. And you can just see it. I mean, it just pops off. I'll tell you what though, he's going to need to get some make his pants go a little bit lower in the NFL because his knees are going to get dominated because those things are completely exposed with like no knee pads there. I mean, I know he wants to show off his legs, but come on. But yeah, in talking to some of the guys at Michigan State, they said he reminded them of Joe Mixon. Joe Mixon, obviously, if you look at his college tape, Joe Mixon was do-it-all kind of guy at Oklahoma, and we've seen him do it all in the NFL as well. But yeah, Judkins is that guy. Judkins is the cool stat that I talked to JD before Tasia came on. So I'm going to ask the chat, and I'm going to also ask Tasia here. So Judkins is the first running back since 2003 to weigh 220 plus pounds, to have an 11-foot broad jump and a sub 4.5 40 at the combine. Can you guess who that other running back was from 2003?
He was drafted in 2003.
He's the first. So Judkins is the first running back since 2003 to be 220 plus pounds, to have an 11-foot broad jump and have a sub 4.5 40 at the combine. Who was the running back from 2003? He's very close to this show if you think about it that way. You owned his jersey, Tasia, and JD. There's a lot of photos of JD with this guy
From 2003.
Mm-hmm.
Don Peterson.
Yeah, Don Pearson got it. Grandmama, baby.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yes, sir.
And Tasia had his number 34 Larry Johnson jersey before he became 27.
Right.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Okay.
Right.
So, I mean, again, 5'11", 220. The guy, I mean, I've seen some of his, I was looking at like the NFL.com's like his weaknesses. I mean, I just think, so his weaknesses are hips are too tight for sharp angles as a one-cut runner, lacks spatial awareness for smooth trips through the interior, below average speed to outrace pursuit and stack explosive runs. I mean, the guy had multiple runs of over 20 yards this year, and like, I lacks the speed. I mean, the guy ran a 4.48. I mean, I don't know if he lacks the speed with the 1.5 split from a 10-yard split. So I don't really get some of the weaknesses there. But obviously, I've seen anywhere from round 3 to early round 2 with Quinshon Judkins. So curious what you guys think. I know we like trenches here. We've been talking about trenches with this, but how would you guys see Quinshon Judkins kind of working within our offense?
I think he'd be a great back for us. I don't know if I take him that high. And I think how they talk about it, like the speed and whatnot, like is the breakaway speed, is he pulling away from guys? How does he look? That is always the question, right? Patience in the one cut, in one cut, that's all you need a guy to do, and then get north and south. That's it. I don't want the guy back there dancing if you don't need to be. This sucker right here is put together. If you that big, you don't need to be dancing in the backfield. You don't. Shoot, if you do, we need to go on and pull the ball away from you and until you have a seat over here, right? I want you one cut and go, and you hit it. Go hit your head on the goalpost. One thing with that, man, is you talk about comparable to Larry Johnson. Well, Larry Johnson, this thing, I never seen LJ go get ran down. I ain't never seen nobody go get LJ. LJ got to the win, it was over. That was it. Cancel Christmas. He's out the gate. And I see this guy right here probably doing the same. And the thing is, when you split time with guys, obviously it's all about getting into the rhythm of things. If he's the guy, he's the man, shoot, no telling what you'll get. And so I would love to see a guy like that here where, you start feeding him the rock, get him going, shoot, no telling what you'll be able to get. So I was kind of reading some of those things with just some of the weaknesses that they were saying, right? It's like, okay, because some games it's like he wasn't able to get loose. I think they said maybe 4 games, and so there might have been a knock on him. But so they'll average less than 4 yards per carry in 5 of the 9 conference games during the 2024 regular season. All right, well, shoot, we just need for him to warm up when he needs to warm up, in the right time for us to get going. But that's the only thing. I don't know if I take him at high, Marcus. Obviously running backs is one of those positions. So,
yeah, it's the running backs deep in this draft. But I saw that too, JD. It's such a cherry pick stat to try to give a negative to a guy. I mean, his average with 2024, he averaged 5.5 yards per carry. 2023, 4.3 yards per carry, and then 2022. When he was the featured back at Ole Miss, 5.7 yards per carry. So, I mean, in totality, pretty good. And also, too, because the one of the things is that I've seen as a knock towards him and Henderson is the fact that they ran behind such a good O-line at Ohio State, all these guys being 5-star guys, yada, yada, yada. But then you look at Tommy Jackson, yeah. But then you look at Ole Miss.
Josh Simmons.
Yeah, not Josh Simmons. Well, 5 games with Josh Simmons, Deja.
I'm just kidding. I'm pro Simmons.
Hey, he might have averaged probably 6 if he had Josh Simmons.
Man, we should maybe backtrack, see where his good games came from.
That's true. But you look at his best season as the feature back. Obviously, was at Ole Miss. They have good old linemen. I'm not knocking them, but they're not guys who are going in rounds 1 through 2 every year like Ohio State does. So he's shown it with a not 5-star O line, but then also showed what he can do as being a 1A and 1B with Henderson with the good O line at Ohio State. So I think he's kind of shown it all.
I'm not against Judkins at all. It's not really a knock on him. It's just the RB class is so deep. It is so deep. And do you want to invest a second round pick to what? 11 carries a game? Hey, if you told me we're going to commit to the run next year, really commit to it, yeah, sure. But I just haven't seen enough evidence to know that we're going to do that. And if we're not going to do that, then I'm sorry, I don't want to pick a running back that high. That's all it comes down to. It has nothing to do with his talent. There are just so many. I'd say it's funny what we've done today. Running back and DT are probably the deepest positions in this draft. Which is why I started looking at like the 3rd round guys and 4th round guys at DT. At running back, I spent most of my time. I mean, it's fun to look at Judkins. He's so damn impressive, but I spent most of my time looking at like the most running backs I've looked at, like the 4th to 6th round range, those guys, because that's where I think we're so picky. And I think we can make it work. I think Pacheco's success with us and the Damian Williams and the Wares and the guys who we've plugged in, who weren't necessarily touted as all-world running backs across the league. I don't think we need to do that. I don't think we need to go invest a high pick at a running back. I think we can find our guy in the 4 through 6 range. I really think we do.
No, I think you're right. I think we have, bigger needs than that. And so, I could think of, 2 more positions that probably get before, RB. I'm looking at DT, defensive end, corner. You could even say linebacker. Like you said, a running back, because you're so deep, you're going to be able to get guys. But like you said, if you're doing, 25 carries a game, a little different, right? You go look for a Bijan Robinson or those guys. So I'm sitting there looking right here. Can you get a guy that can do those things? And shoot, maybe the 2nd pick in the 4th round or the 5th round guy, possibly getting somebody that that can fit with what you do, right? Especially the Chiefs. I mean, we're getting offensive line because we want to air the ball out. Andy, those guys have made it a point that this is what we're going to do. We're going to throw the football. Now, they might incorporate maybe a little bit more running this year, right? Because you have to. But I don't, does he? How far does he fall?
I also think too, like when you're looking at the overall draft, and like we said to begin this whole show, like because of how top heavy we are, we need as many starters and like contributors as possible, right? And I think you're gonna have a higher percentage of drafting other positions earlier who can contribute at those positions. I think you can get a contributing running back in rounds 4 to 6, a guy who can still maybe be your starter day one, possibly. If he can beat out Pacheco, then by all means. So that's kind of my thinking too. Like you'd have a higher percentage of going D end, maybe receiver, just for example, like linebacker and DT from rounds 1 to 3, all of which can possibly be heavy contributors or starters. And then you can still get your running back at 132. You can still get your running back. I personally think we're going to trade back in one of our picks and get a pick in rounds 5 and 6. A running back in round 5, right? I think you can still get that. It works to our advantage, really, because running back is so damn deep. It's great. It's a great problem to have.
Yeah.
But with the success of Barkley and the formula apparently running the ball, who knew? You're going to see maybe teams be like, we need that, right? And they're going to maybe pull a trigger on some of these guys who maybe have a higher chance of being a Barkley, right? Than other guys later on in the draft that have more holes to their game. But I think we're just so specific about certain. I don't think we even look for 3-down guys anymore. I think we just look for guys that can give us something at running back, specific thing at running back,
Yeah, for sure. And look, Barkley is just one of those freaks of nature.
Yeah.
You ain't gonna be able to find a guy like that. I mean,
that's like looking for Mahomes, JD.
Yeah, right. It's far and few
its own way.
between you'll be able to get a job, that Joker. Shoot. So, I get it. I get it.
And right before we came on, it was reported that we have met with Judkins. So there is that interest there as well. Where if you take that for what you will, if if the meeting with a player means something, then I guess they're. But at least we're on the right track here. They're doing their due diligence on the positions that we've talked about tonight: the D tackle, the D ends, the running back. So like that, at least hey, we're kind of spot on with them on the needs for this team.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And so, like you were saying, just because of the depth of these guys, you might talk to a guy, but he may fall to second or third round, right? And so, shoot, there's some, like you said, there's going to be legit guys, fourth round still. Defensive tackles like, hey, we'll take it. Yeah, by all means, absolutely. So,
because if you look at one position, let's say I'm just total example. Let's say the number 3 linebacker. So the number 5 linebacker is rated 2 points higher than the number 12 linebacker. But let's say the number 5 running back is rated like half point better than the number 12 running back. You just have that. You have that flexibility to be like, okay, that position's running out soon. We need it, and we like him. We like 6 running backs right now who I'm okay with drafting the next few rounds. I like them all. Do I like Judkins more than some of these guys? I saw someone mention Tootin earlier. Big Tootin fan. He might be one of my guys later on I talk about.
I feel like he's going to get overdrafted because of his 40 time.
Maybe, but then we thought Worthy was going to be a top 20 because of his 40 time. And, but RJ Harvey, Neal, I like so there's just so many guys are running like the DTs. We could do the entire draft season on DTs and we would not run out of, guys to talk about. There's just so many. But yeah, I just think for us, it would be better to wait. That's the only reason. It's not on Judkins at all.
Yeah. Linda Hunter says, more Eagles talk. Stop. Hey, look, Linda, I tell you, we got to get our lick back. That's what we need to do. We need to go and get our lick back. And so what we do is we are shoring up. Okay. We are regrouping. And we're gonna dot a couple of I's when we get back up with the Eagles. So we got to push to get back on top. So no, but they earned that spot. They did. They took us to task in the Super Bowl.
Man. Yep.
Yeah. To the point when Joe was just like we were frauds. They looking for things all season. Like, yeah, we seen that. We seen what's gonna happen. Yeah, we seen that. It's like, hold on, wait a minute. No, you didn't, because we were for real. Y'all just caught us on a bad day. Caught us where we wasn't crisp, as crisp as we were. Apparently some of us had a flu, all those other things. But hey, man, we're re-ing up right now. That's the thing about it. So that's why this draft is so important to get the right guys in here that's going to get us back on top when we need to. And it goes into the whole thing, the old moniker, like, hey, defenses win championships. What they say. So
I see Mike Brennan's a big Tootin fan. I want to just give this one stat on Tootin. I loved it. 0.39 forced missed tackle rate means 40% of his runs he forced a missed tackle. That was in 2023. In 2024, 0.31%, right?
Mm-hmm.
That stat, 0.25 to 0.30 is extremely good. Bijan, for reference, was 4 coming out of college. So just to give you a little a nugget on that, that's part of the reason. And he's lightning fast. He's lightning fast, and he doesn't go down easy, and he forces missed tackles. Love it.
Darn Tootin.
Nice.
No, Lynn, I see. No, we just playing with you. Yeah, this I know you. You said you up there, there. So a guy like that, and Mike Brennan said he has, problem with ball security issues.
He does. That was one of his listed issues.
Yeah,
Like that.
Nah, not like that at all.
Yeah,
because they'll check it. That's one thing teams will stay away from a guy that has ball security issues. Like, oh no, we can't. So
that's all right. You can't throw a 21-year-old away because you got ball security issues in college, man. You got to work with them.
I hear you. Hey,
if everyone doesn't take them, 6th or 7th round, I'll eat it up. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't know. 6th or 7th round, going running back that late again. I feel like the whole point. Pacheco's been great for us, but he's just not that. He's not that guy. I kind of want. I want a guy. I think Kid Juddy. I think Kid Juddy is that guy.
Pacheco was that guy until he wasn't. All of a sudden everybody backing up off Pacheco, man, and man get hurt, and all of a sudden he come in, and now they don't want to re-sign him to a big deal and stuff.
I'm not throwing away Pacheco.
Hold on. It's not that I throw him away. It's just that. It's more like,
go ahead.
It's more like he was that guy for us because there was nobody else, and he just filled that role as being our running back, and he had some solid games for us. But even when he was doing that for us, it was never like we just don't have that home run threat with him. It's never been that way with him, and maybe it's because we're like giving our totes 10, max 16 carries with the guy. Maybe we never got to see that explosion with him, and he always gets hurt too. So that was also kind of the thing with him. But I mean, that first year we would talk about it, and still to this day, I mean, we still look and see like he looks like he has a problem reading the holes and whatnot, and just kind of reading his blocks. And that's still something it's not a patient runner. And that's kind of something that, we've seen that hasn't really grown, especially with the money we're paying with these interior offensive linemen. These guys are good run blockers, and there's holes out there. There's a lot of running at the backs, which is something that, he's never really graduated from that. And that was one of his knocks coming out of Rutgers, and that's why he was a 7th round pick.
I'm gonna leave it alone. Seriously. Okay, I'll say this. When he was at Rutgers, part of the problem was because he didn't really have an offensive line in front of him, and he had to try to generate something. And so, you get in bad habits. Part of the bad habits is you don't have patience because you couldn't have patience. And so you had to get what you could get. This year, now obviously, the injuries did hurt. Could we have made it easier for him sometimes? Sure. Because our blocking wasn't crisp all the time up front. And I think, look, nobody really wanted to say it. I'm going to say it. Daggone. I'm a daggone say it. What up, Neff? Word. Aaron Jones is going to be available out of the way too. So.
Yeah.
I when I seen some of the games this past year, I just didn't think we was as crisp as we needed to be in the run game at times. But we would go away from it so quick that I don't think that we did a good job of trying to establish that either. So I think it was on, players and coaches in a sense, because I'm sure Andy's like, okay, well, shoot, if we get 4 or 5 yards, I'm not going to go away with it, and I'm going to feed it to him. So if you don't make it the first time, he's like, okay, I'm done. So it's like the guys had it like block perfect when you first come out of the gate. And that's unfair. But also, too, it's like, hey, man, you got to get this thing going. You got to be able to open it up. So that's why I like Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is a solid back to me. We talked about this. I don't think Kareem Hunt is just a guy. I think Kareem Hunt, if you have a whole training camp with him, get into shape and whatnot, and he's going to be something different for us. He's hard to knock down. He's hard to take down. We know it. Like when later on in these games, he was eating, and he's running hard. Yeah, he ain't gonna go hit his head on the goalpost. No, he don't run a 4.3 or 4.40, right? He's gonna run a 6.40 4 or 6 max, maybe. Okay. But he's going to give you legit 3 or 4 yards every time, or 5. You start opening the hole for him, then he's going to start wearing you out. And we kind of got away from that. Kind of got away from it. So it's kind of like a lot there. I was just looking at it, man. Some of the things that we just didn't do offensively up front to help, the whole cause of running the football more.
I'm not done with Pacheco by any means. I think he needs competition at the very least. I don't think it's his job in the bag anymore. That's where I stand on it.
Well, I think Kareem proved that when he came back, and Kareem was, for much of the time when they were splitting carries, Kareem looked like the better back.
Yeah, even he couldn't hardly break 10 yards on a carry. So yeah, it was tough for both of them. You need a guy with juice. We need juice. We need a guy, and that's when you're working with the Tutons of the world, the RJ Harveys of the world, the Neils. They have juice. They can maybe be your guy. They can definitely be a compliment at very worst. Definite compliments. I don't know about 3 down loads, but there aren't that many guys out there anyway. Bijan Robinson is not even a 3 down back in this league. And he was top 5 pick? That stat I read about Bijan, his 4 missed tackle rate is amazing. Even that team doesn't make him a 3 down back. There aren't many of them out there anymore. So I'm okay with a guy we draft being a compliment until one of them proves that they should be the answer, right? And if that's not the case, let's say you draft a 5th round back, neither one of them look like the guy, like the guy who's going to run and steal the show. You go out and you find another one. If a 5th round's not stopping you from taking another shot at it or signing someone. Because I will say, Aaron Jones might sound crazy to people, but in a very, very, very deep running back class, one thing that's not good for is an upcoming free agent running back. Because teams are going to be like, nah, you know what? I think I can find Aaron Jones in the 5th round. Maybe they can. I'm not saying they can. But to save $6 million, they might try, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, you might be able to get a really good. I'm a big Jaylen Warren fan. You come out of this free agency with Jaylen Warren, I'm all right. I don't even need a running back anymore in the draft. He's young. He can run in the NFL. There's no wait and see with him. He can complement or he can be your main. He can be your main guy. He runs hard. He runs through contact. I'm a big Jaylen Warren guy. So I think this might not even be a need in a month from now.
Yeah. And if, like you said, if you're trying to save money, the value is get a guy in the draft, a young dude who could come in and do what you want him to do. It makes perfect sense. Yeah. Like you said, Warren, Najee Harris is no, don't touch him. Don't even bring him in for a visit.
No.
Don't even make a phone call. Nope.
No, man, I really hope we don't. I really hope we don't.
Yeah. So I know we were talking about veteran guys because that's like one of the things they're talking about. Like, Chiefs are looking for a veteran running back. I'm just like, who?
Yeah, I'm a Warren guy. You like Warren?
I like Warren. I do. Yeah, he's a solid guy. No question about it. Yeah.
Whenever you'd watch him and Najee play back to back, you're like, dude, Warren's clearly the better back. Give him more touches.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, you watch them back to back, you're just like, it's obvious.
Well, they have more money invested in Najee. So it's like, dang. Okay, Najee, come on. Right? It's almost like the D-line coach was talking to, y'all see that? When he was telling his guys, like, y'all going to force me to play this rookie. He's like, I'm being forced. Yeah, he has forced my hand to play him. And basically what he was saying is like, we got too much money in the D-line that we got to play you. Now, the rookie's not playing you because he's hungry. He's playing hard. He's showing that he deserves to play. Yeah, people have a problem with it, but it's business. And sometimes they're like, look, man, we got money invested in these guys. We need to get it out of you. We have to get it out of you. If we're paying you $12 million or $15 million and this rookie's out playing you, yeah, we might have to play him, but this is a bad investment. We're going to make sure you're going to do something for $15 million. Even if it's handing water out to everybody else you're going to do something. Have a towel ready for them. I don't care what it is. Hold the ball for the kicker. But you're going to do something for $15 million. That's what's going to happen. All right? You're going to force it. So
we'll leave it here for something.
You don't do. I'm leaving it with something from around the way. I'm leaving it with something, right?
Exactly.
That's a fact. Yeah, now you ain't just gonna sit over there and just collect a check. That ain't what's gonna happen. That ain't how it works around here.
Yeah.
So what do you want me to do? How about you start sweeping that floor or something, mopping it? Okay.
And Warren's young too, so it's not like you're doing like an older option for something. Like Warren can be your guy. If you get like a nice 2-3 year cheap deal on him. If you're a running back, man, wouldn't you love to come here?
I have to imagine Pittsburgh's going to pay him to keep him there.
I don't know about that. I don't know that we just dogged Najee Harris for 5 minutes and they kept giving him the ball over him. So I don't know if they're going to pay him. If they were geniuses and they were really planning for the future, they'd be not giving him the ball so they can ask him to take a pay cut. Like, man, you really didn't do much last year, man. Like, what do you mean you did the ball? Yeah, it's because you couldn't beat out Najee. So it's interesting. I don't know if they will. We'll see.
And they can go in the draft and go get a guy. They need a wide receiver. They be like, look, let's go get one of the running backs, right?
Yep.
Najee and Warren is not the guy.
And I believe they have a lot. I think the Pittsburgh has a lot of fifth. I think they have like 3 or 4 fifth rounders. So they could easily come out of the draft and take 2 of them if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, again, it works against these guys.
Yeah. And also, too, when I'm looking at the running back for this, the reason why I went with Judkins is because Judkins does remind me the most of Kareem Hunt. And obviously, we like what Kareem Hunt does. We like Kareem Hunt as a rookie, and we like Kareem Hunt as a 35-year-old man that we saw this year. So obviously, they like something about the Kareem Hunt style. That's why I'm kind of leaning Judkins. Kid Juddy.
It also wouldn't shock me at all to see Aaron Jones, by the way. See Aaron Jones in a prove-it deal with incentives. Base value for like $5 million up to like $10 million. If you hit all those incentives, take it. It's yours. If you can hit those stats, sure.
Man, I know them jokers was talking about it. It's funny. They're talking about his hairline. That sucker hairline. I see that joker's hairline. I was like, what? What the heck? That joker, yo. Aaron Jones look like he's 60 years old. I'm like, who? Grandpappy.
He's keeping a little coolio, one little twirl up there. That's it. Eventually, he'll have that.
It's like his head, like he was back in like this. His hair. I'm like, man, where's his hairline at?
Hey, man, he performs.
Yeah.
I'll have his hairline for Halloween. Okay, if he comes here and performs by October, I'll wear that for Halloween. And that you talking about juice out of the backfield. That's an element we haven't had in quite some time. Catch a little swing pass from him, take it to the distance, man.
All day. Yeah,
and we can limit his. You don't have to even overuse him either. You keep him healthy.
No, right.
You maximize his touches. Give him like 8 to 10 touches a game, 8 to 12 touches. Perfect.
Yeah, every bit of it. Yeah, every bit of it.
Yeah, you definitely need to draft a running back if you sign him, though.
Nah.
What do you mean? Because Pacheco's on a 1-year deal. And Jones is an older guy. I mean, you're definitely going to need a draft a running back in the draft. I'm not saying Judkins in the second round. I'm saying a running back in this draft.
You don't think Carson Steele's the guy, Marcus?
I do not.
Huh? What? Carson, he might come out and surprise you, man.
If you draft Aaron Jones, you have Pacheco. In that case, you drafted between the tackle Mauler at that point. You draft a guy who picks up yards and doesn't let anyone push him back. Is what you get at that point.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we hope everybody enjoyed our prospect watch episode. You guys learned a thing or two. I learned some tonight about some of these guys that I hadn't really done a lot of research on, but I hope you guys learned something. But yeah, we'll be back Wednesday night where we kind of go over all the news and the rumors surrounding the Chiefs this offseason. Chad, please talk about people's hairlines.
Look, I still got a little bit in there.
You're all right.
I got a hairline.
Yeah.
Hey, I got a hairline. I looked at my nephew. Him and Aaron Jones look like twins. I'm like, hey. More like this.
Oh, man.
People put their faces together like, oh, you and Aaron Jones look alike right now. got
Oh,
to go
yeah.
back.
So Wednesday night we'll be doing just kind of talking about making the rounds of all the news and the rumors that are going around surrounding the Chiefs. As you know, actually a week from our show on Wednesday is the beginning of the off-season period. So it's the last week before the stuff really gets heavy. So we hope you guys come on Wednesday night and learn some more. JD.
Witchy Hall's funny. I haven't heard that one before. She said, "What do you call a row of rabbits walking backwards? A receding hairline." That's pretty good. I have not heard that.
Oh, that's good.
Very good.
That's good.
Yeah, it is. Oh, that's funny. That's good. That's good. I love it. We joke out here, man. Listen, hey, I'm glad y'all had a good time. We like coming out here and talking about it and whatnot. That's receding hairline. All right. So neckline. Nev, I had to jump on you a little bit. I know you're going to come on here and say something. I didn't know that. Man, appreciate y'all. It was good. It was a good show, though. It was a good show. Very informative. I'm glad you, Linda, I'm glad you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something. But like I said, for us, the Chiefs and the formal meetings and the things they're looking for, defensive tackle, defensive end, O-line, corners, linebackers, running backs are kind of it. I think we're right in line with everything, like you said before. So it's good just to be able to see that. And we'll talk on Wednesday a little bit more about some of the things going on. So we're going to see y'all then. But let me say bye to everybody. Don Peterson, Witchy Hall, Demetrio Spence, Linda Hunter, Sasha, good seeing you like always. Neff, good talking to you. Demetrio Spence, Chief, good seeing you as well. Mike Brennan, our guy Joe E. Let me see, Chiefs fan 211. Justin the Wave, what's going on? Pop neither Hunt for Hunt. Yeah, I think he's going to do that. Anonymous Mango. The Chiefs just re-signed Blake Lynch. Oh, really? Okay. Huh. All right. Let me see who else we got here. Susan was here. Sasha, good seeing you as well. DeMonte Green Beans was in the house. Hearts and Roses good here. Gary Holland. Let me see. G Pick, Linda Julian. Greg Rose was here in the house. Anders Chenault was here. So listen, hey, we appreciate every bit of y'all. YB Negative was here in the house too. They won't miss you, YB Negative. Seeing you come in. Kevin Mars, happy birthday again, my brother. 44th birthday. Happy birthday again. King Mo was here. Good to see you, King Mo. See you sneak in. I didn't get to see you earlier. But listen, everybody, y'all have a good night. We love you. We thank you for all the time that y'all was able to give to us. We appreciate you allowing us to sit here and run the mouth. Hope y'all learned some things. It's good time, man. So good time. Good conversations, man. Hey, Marcus, Tage, my brothers, man. Love you guys. Y'all take care. God bless everybody out there. We will see y'all on Wednesday night. And then we're going to do this thing all over again on Monday, Tage. And I told you, special when Tage come out, the real deal, baby. It was a real deal. So
it's a party.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's how we do it. That's how we get down. So Dash Brothers, love y'all.
Love you, buddy.
Love
you guys.
All right,
We'll see you guys Wednesday night. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. We'll see you guys next time. Love you guys.
Love you all.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out the best clips from Chief Concerns. And if you prefer to listen to the show, subscribe and follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts.